What's up? Hello. Happy Saturday. I actually have a day off today. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, so I'm working on the back side of my cow. I have most of it already outlined. The perspective is a little bit off, but that's what he looks like so far. Basically, the back side is like a lot smaller than the front, so shading in these was easy to do with this guy. But the backside, he's a lot smaller, so I'm gonna need a different tip. So what I'm about to do, I always let people know, don't do this unless you know how to do it, because it can ruin your tips. So I always keep a piece of metal in, or a metal container with me. Reason being, if you ever need to change your tips and you don't want to wait for it to completely cool down, you can put them in a metal container. It's always handy to have that. And then these are all my wood burning tips, so I'm just gonna find a smaller circle. So there's two things that come with the smaller circle. One, we'll go through them once I change it. Okay, so I've got my tip ready. Again, don't do this unless you know exactly how to do it without ruining the threads. All of the metals on a wood burner are really soft metals. So any wrong move when it's hot, you can misthread it and then it won't work. Going forward, it won't work. So let's see, I've got my new one here. Hopefully it fits. Now since it's hot, when you screw it in there, it will get hot, like really hot, really fast. Which is why I don't love to use, you can see the smoke coming off of it. I don't love to use my vice grips when I'm putting them in there, because I have a bunch of different types of tips and they might not be the right size. Because of that, I always like to be careful. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just go with a different one. It might be the wrong threading. That was the perfect tip though, so let's see if we can find another one. Let's go with this one. It's a rounded top. I usually use this for lines, but we're gonna try to do shading with it. And I know this size fits in here. So I can just screw it on there. And again, especially when you're tightening, this is a big deal with the vice grips because you can ruin your threads so easily. And I don't know if you would burn, but if you do, and you're OCD like I am, I hate the feeling of the tip being loose, and that's how that happens, is if you mess up the threads. Okay, so I think I just burned something. I'm gonna turn my wood burner down. Another thing you can do is use a less strong one, but basically this is a smaller tip. With a smaller tip, it's gonna concentrate the heat all into a lot smaller area. So you'll go to use this and it'll be like a giant black mark and you won't even expect it. So you turn your heat down and you kind of wait for it to cool down a little bit. While that's cooling down, I'm gonna go ahead and draw some of my other stuff. Maybe my tail. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw the tail down by behind the legs because, oh, this isn't on, darn it. Just kidding. But I always do the darker lines first because you don't want to get a picture that's completely dark. So with this, it's actually quite a bit dark, which is why I didn't draw any of these in all the way, because when you're shading, you have to, like, you've got a line, right? It shouldn't be an actual line. You should have two lighter areas that come to a dark section in a dramatic way, so it looks like a line, basically. But when I draw these in here, I end up shading it in way too much. So like his nose, I'm lucky that I don't have that too dark. It's almost too dark, but we're gonna mess with it a little. And then this is definitely too dark right here. But I want to avoid that, so I'm not gonna draw this line up here because it's gonna turn out darker when you do the outlines. I already outlined the outside, but that's okay because it's farther away on the actual item. So things to know. See how hot this is real quick. A lot of people do testers. So if you do want to do a tester, you just grab some other type of wood. You want to base it on the fact that the wood should be similar. This is not the same type of wood, so just as an FYI, some people do that. So then what I'm going to do is, I already started shading some of it, but I'm going to go through and shade the darker areas first. And I turn my wood burner down so that way I can shade without it being hugely dark lines. You can see this is already loose. My tip drives me nuts when it does that little wobbly thing. Okay. Plus, if it's doing the wobbly thing, it's probably not all the way connected, which some tools it matters, some it doesn't. 200 degrees is what I call me, Mr. Fahrenheit. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me. I've just been singing that song, it's so good. If you don't know Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, you should listen to it. It's hilarious and awesome. In the world, we're turning inside out, yeah. An ecstasy, so don't stop me now. Yeah, this is a great tip for shading. Wow. That line, or that area, I did this little spot right here. It's shaded so well. So this tip right here is amazing. You gotta turn your heat down, but if you do that, it shades perfectly. All right, I will be back.